Okay.
Lady Charmaine, and my guest today exploded on the scenes in the late 1970s as a member of the female hip-hop group The Sequence. They gave the doorbell a whole new sound with their hit Funk You Up. And then many years later, she came back on the scenes with an awesome song that made African-American men proud to be a black brother. And she's here today to talk about being one of the newest divas on TVOne's R&B Divas Atlanta. Help me welcome Miss Angie Stone. How you doing, Angie?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing good. I said, I'm not sure who she's talking to, but okay, we're going to go ahead with this interview. But just to let you know that, that we are live on the air right now. And just to remind a lot of people, they may not even know, Angie, that you were even in a female hip hop group in the late 70s. Now, do you still kind of rap a little bit? Can you still flow?
Oh, yeah. I rap every show. It's just like, you never forget. I'm a basketball player. I never forget how to play basketball. That's just something that's in you. So, you outgrow it, but it never leaves you.
Okay, I know that's right. Because when I heard you sing the song on one of the shows, I was like, was that Angie B back in the day? I could not believe it. But I want to talk to you about your early musical career, because a lot of people didn't know that you were even a rapper. How did your career even begin in music?
When I started out as a rapper, I got discovered as a singer and not a rapper. A rapper was added onto the plate once Sylvia Robinson started with Sugar Hill Gang, and we actually got offered to be the Sugar Hill Girls. All we had to do was add a rap to a song, which was a song before it was a rap song. So that was, how I made the transition to a rapper. I got discovered as a singer. So quite naturally, my position would be, okay, one day I'm going to grow up and I still want to sing, so can we continue to sing as well as rap? And the answer was yes, which is how we evolved into rap singer. And henceforth, Lauryn Hill and everybody else that's come along to do what we've done, which was, make that collage of music and hooks and all of this a part of a hip-hop song. It started there.
Because you had one of the hottest hooks, girl. Ring, ding, dong. Ring, a ding, 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 dong. That was one of the hottest hooks, especially when I was growing up. And then to know that, oh, my God, that was her back in the day. So I'm so glad to know that was you. But I want to talk about, Angie, you were on Celebrity Fit Club. Was it as difficult as it appears when I'm watching it on television?
Well, what I've come to learn and understand about reality TV is just that reality TV, there's a lot of things that go on that we're unaware of quite naturally. When I did Celebrity Fit Club, hold on one second. When I did Celebrity Club, the one thing that you all didn't know is that when I rode the tricycle, which they used in the commercial, it looked as though I was struggling, and I was, because they had taped the gear to the bike in third gear. They had taped the gears down so that it would have me pedal on an incline, which was very difficult. It's like pedaling up the steepest hill you can find and go up. And of course it made the gears tight, but the way that it viewed made it look like I was just too heavy to pedal. So when I realized I was being set up and made to look really hideous, I wanted out, because I never knew that reality TV show would give you that illusion. Mm. And I wasn't comfortable being the guinea pig.
Wow, that is good to know. I had no idea, because I watched the entire season that you were on.
Oh yeah, everybody hated me. They got mad. They got mad at me because I wanted out. One of the things that really upset me is we went on like a trail where we were going through a bunch of bushes, and we got up into 110-degree sun, and I was about to pass out, and everybody wanted to know, oh, like, why you complaining? what they didn't realize is that we were on a snake trail. There were 6 snake rangers on the side of us that weren't in camera view, and I'm terrified of snakes. So for me to have to walk a snake trail that nobody knew anything about but us, I was hyperventilating the whole way. Not to mention I was overweight, and then you got 6 snake rangers there to, do something in case a snake jumps out. So I can't even concentrate on a race at this point because I'm like, that snakes and spiders is my greatest fear in life.
Wow.
So I didn't care what they called me, what they thought about me at that point. I did not sign up to walk a snake trail in the middle of 110-degree weather. It just wasn't cool. So once I realized I was the stool pigeon, I was the only black female on the show, and here we are. Everybody's like, okay, she's got to do this, she's got to do that. And I'm like, I want out because I didn't sign up to be the guinea pig.
Right. See, that's good to know the behind the scenes because we don't see that. We don't see what you see. We see, the final cut.
And everybody, but I did more damage control of my brand and my career than I'd ever done on that show. And I vowed that I would never do reality again. So me even doing this, trust me, they had to beg me to do this show.
Wow. Because we're going to get into that in just a minute. But I want to talk about your song that made so many African-American men so proud to be a black brother. And I always wanted to know, what was the inspiration behind the song, or who or what was the inspiration behind the song?
Well, I have to say, Raphael Sadiq, Harold Lilly, and myself had so much fun working on that song. The inspiration is obviously brothers in general being the stool pigeons for so many of the things that are negative. I wanted them to be viewed in a positive light, as with Raphael and Harold Lilly, who pretty much wrote the majority of that song. I think that since James Brown said, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud," we had not had an anthem so prolific that would make us proud to stand up to it. And Brother was one of those songs that I think men gravitated to, and so do women.
Mm-hmm. And it was, because when you just hear the song, it just makes you feel so proud and, make you look at your black brother a little differently. I just love you.
Right.
So it did
right.
what you guys set out for the song to do when you were in the studio. It did just that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right.
Now I want to talk to you about being the newest diva on R&B Divas Atlanta. What is that experience like for you, and how did you even become a diva on the show?
Well, I was supposed to be a part of the first segue. I didn't do it. They just begged me to do the second season, and I went on board because I saw several train wrecks happening, and I just thought, you know what? Somebody needs to impart a little bit of wisdom, and by me being, a little older than most of the girls. And I'm saying a little because a lot of what is the perception has been is like, I'm the oldest. I am older. I've been in the business longer, but I started a whole lot younger than they did as well. So when you look at my age and you look at them being 4 to 6 years younger, they're really not that far behind me. But at the end of the day, I saw a lot of clash of the titans going on. And I kind of wanted to get on there and say, hey, I didn't survive by being this way. I survived by, looking at other people's mistakes and learning from their mistakes and deviating or making a left when they made a right. And at the end of the day, here's the problem. You can't catfight at this hour of the game for yourself. You're too old to do it, number one. You're too talented to want to do it. And number 3, if you're ever going to get anything out of this, you have to utilize this as a platform to make something greater than what you've already seen.
That's true. Were there any divas that you clicked with before on the show? Was there any, like, 1 or 2 girls that you just gelled with when you started the show?
Well, I never had a real problem with any of the girls. We had done some work prior to that on Nikki's play, and there was a little tension between Selena and myself, but I think it was fueled by someone else. And I think once we really got to know each other, we're ironclad thick now. It's almost like, wow, how did we become a victim of circumstance? But yes, I think, in general, all the women to my knowledge, had a level of respect for me as well as I for them. And, we're just looking to learn something. How that stands today really is what you're seeing on TV is a rendition of hidden agendas. Mm. And that's all I can say without, going over the top. But am I a little surprised? I'm definitely surprised, because in my worst moment, I would never display a level of disrespect to a sister, a woman, a cousin, a friend, or anything that the world could ridicule us by. So if you can't find a hole to clean it up, then, don't keep throwing shade to mess it up. Mm. Because at that point it becomes a selfish issue that now you're just looking for attention. And that's what I think has happened.
Because for you, although you knew there were some things going on, like you said, you was able to see the show from last season, but when you finally got into the midst of it, and when you first arrived and all the hostility, how did that make you feel to be in the middle of the hostility? And then Keke thought, when you were just bringing wisdom, that's all you were doing to the group, and then Keke thought you were talking to her. Did that kind of catch you by surprise?
Well, it threw me back because I'm no fool. I have a spirit of discernment, and I knew that she was coming for me. Mm-hmm. And I had to stop and pray silently and say, okay, here it is. And didn't know where it was coming from. But that was clearly an indication of, I'm going to pick a fight with you. And my take on that is, the dog and the moon. If the dog barks at the moon and the moon barks back, the dog becomes famous. But if the moon does not bark back, then the moon remains famous. So I decided, I'm going to let you have this cat fight all by yourself.
Now, do you guys watch it when we watch it, or do you get the episodes before we do?
No, we don't get any of it. No, we never see it. I don't know what the next show holds. That's the one privilege that I don't have. I can't say that the executive producers don't know. I don't think so. But we are all clueless.
Okay.
So when your surprise has been my surprise.
Because I was going to ask you this question. With you having so much wisdom, starting off in the business, 30 years ago or over 30 years ago? So you have so much wisdom in the business, and then to hear Keke call you old and not respecting the wisdom that you have in this business. What was going through your mind when you heard that?
Well, let me just put it to you this way. I started when I was 16. I've grown up in the business. I've hit the 50 mark. I don't think I'm old. I think I have a very young spirit. I think I'm knowledgeable and wisdom through trial and experience, but very relevant, still doing music and doing a whole lot of things. I think that when Keke called me old, I was more concerned for what the rest of the world was going to think about that. Mm-hmm. Because if you're in the industry long enough, you know that 25 is old for the industry standards based on us as black people. The one thing that went through my mind is, okay, we did the unthinkable. We put a curtain call on our own careers, because at 31 years old, you're considered old. To be able to go out and stand against a Rihanna or any of these young girls that are coming up, 31 would be an old lady. It would make me ancient. You understand? But just knowing that Rihanna has come to me out of the utmost respect, Beyonce has come to me for advice on things, to have worked in the same arena with these type of talented women, and Fantasia, who calls me on a regular. I am so not concerned with what Keke Wyatt has to say about my age, because there are some people that are so grateful that I am old enough to know the difference, yet young enough and approachable enough to make a difference. When she learns that, then she'll get it. But to have 2 hits or a couple of somethings somewhere that are so far in between that your great gift can't outshine the moment that God gave you, that you really have to piggyback that off of someone else's success, I began to realize, and my manager said it best. He said, listen, don't let it get the best of you. because the only way that you will ever amount to anything is to talk about you, because you have a history. And guess what? Anybody picking at you is going to grab some of that shine for themselves. You should be flattered.
Okay. All right. That was wisdom talking right there from your manager. Yeah, keep that one.
Okay?
That was really good.
But when you think about it, you know, his whole thing is, why pick on you? Why not pick on Tasha or somebody else? He picked on you because they knew you were going to get the lane. And guess what? I'm not going to let you have it all by yourself. You old biddy.
Well, I respect the wisdom that you're trying to bring, because you can hear it and it makes so much sense, because you've been a part of a girl group. You've been in a successful girl group. You've been a successful solo artist. So you have so much to bring to the table. And speaking of
and
that.
I have experienced baby mama.
Okay. Look, amen to that. And so
yeah, I was baby mama on a whole nother level. So I get it.
Amen. And with you having so much wisdom, being on all sides, I have a question for you. If there was young female groups listening right now, especially dealing with groups, what advice would you be able to give them? Because we know female groups, they really don't last too long out there, because they start bickering and all kind of stuff. As we can even see in R&B Divas, and they're not even a group, just trying to come together to do something. What advice would you give them?
It's so funny that you asked that question, because one of my biggest pet peeves is I can't stand it that women cannot stay in groups. Most often you hear this, because I used to say it many, many years ago, oh, I get along with guys a whole lot better than I get along with girls. We need to bury that statement. We need to leave it underground where it is, because the very fact that you have conditioned your mind to think that way means that you're not open to think otherwise. And what needs to happen is we need to stop beating each other up and start utilizing each other's shoulders, backs, whatever we need to do to walk over to lift our sisters to the next level. And with any favoritism from God, it will reach back and lift us over, and we can make it to the top.
All right. See, that was some wisdom right there. And that is so true, because it seems like among women, we have this big old crawdad theory. When you see one sister coming up, then you want to bring her down or say something about that particular sister. And it's so evident. And I don't understand why we have this whole competitiveness among our gender. Can you explain that? Because you've been around a little longer than me.
I think what happens is the crabs in a barrel effect. I think what happened, and I have to go here, even though I really don't want to, but I think it's going to be the only way that we're understood. Back in the day, dark skin, the darker the skin, the harder the climb. The bigger the lips, the harder the climb. The nappier the hair, the harder the climb. The fairer the skin, the easier the climb. The softer the hair, the easier the climb. In this situation, I think we're trying to recover from being so deeply rooted in the untrue. Dark-skinned women work, I'm dark, so I have to speak for myself, work twice as hard to be accepted in the community, in the world, and of course now in the industry. Close to white women had it easier because in their minds they were conditioned to think that they were more beautiful, they were stronger, they were more acceptable. The world dictated that for so long that now, here we are, we finally got a chance to amount, but it came down to talent. But the problem is God just didn't give dark-skinned women talent, and he just didn't give light-skinned people talent. He gave white people talent, too. Only they were a lot smarter. They kept that thing together. You never hear them bickering and fuss because they learned from our mistakes. We were so busy, like crabs in a barrel, trying to crawl from the bottom to the top, that we didn't care who we demolished along the way. Because if one skin was fairer, then that person thought they were better. Or we have to look back and say, did you just think they were better? So one thing we have to do is embrace our beauty. We have to embrace all angles of our beauty. If we got big butts and big legs, we have to embrace that. If we have to have big lips and big eyes, we have to embrace that. If we have strong natural hair, embrace it. If we were blessed with straight curly hair, embrace it. If we embrace our beauty, we will have no room to call fault or to change or to try to be accepted for anything that we're not. We have to accept our own self, and that's why I wrote the song, I Am Happy Being Me. I love who I am, and I think our self-love will help us and condition us to love others and embrace others. So I think the problem begins with yesteryear, and it's carried over for so many generations.
And speaking of that, I just want to get your opinion, because this is something I've always thought about. I never asked anybody this question, so you're going to be the first person to ask this question to. How do you feel when you see our recording artists and we see them come up through the ranks, but then we see their whole image change? We see their skin get lighter, their hair getting lighter, even blonder, start wearing colored contacts. And when you look, sometimes you have to look twice to see if they're African-American or if they're Caucasian. But we know when they started, we knew they were African-American. But their whole look starts turning European in this industry.
But I think, I think what happens is self-preservation. Every man has a right to do and be what they choose to do. However, I think when we go to the extreme of change to the point that they start to change their skin color, their hair texture, X, Y, Z, because, let's take, I'm a dark-skinned girl that wore natural for a very long time, but because we have interchangeable hair and hair weave and it's been made accessible to look a certain way, I think I'm going to try it. And as a result, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to be something you're not. I think change is inevitable, and I think when we grow, we change. However, the whole coloring your eyes and lightening your skin and straightening your hair is you are not happy with the person that you've seen in the mirror. So you go extra hard to change for the acceptance for yourself. I think it's the best thing? Absolutely not. Do I think it's the worst thing? Absolutely not. I think what's scary is just loving yourself enough to accept yourself for what God created you to be. Anything extra is just an insecurity.
That was really good. Thank you. That was good. Now, Angie, I want to know, are you working on any new projects? And we expect an album out, single out? Are you working on something that we need to know about?
Yes, what I'm doing now, I'm believe it or not, I'm in some finalizing stages of some things that I'm working on behind the scenes with regards to movies and television, as well as trying to get in the studio with Calvin Richardson and do a duet album. I have that on the list. And I'd like to do a lullaby CD. I'm very excited about that, but I'm really testing my hands at directing right now.
Movie directing?
I'm testing my hands at directing, meaning directing videos, directing film, directing television, behind the scenes on some things that I'm really excited about. I can't give up the ghost, though.
We can't get no juicy details, Angie. Can we get a sneak peek?
They can hit me on Twitter. They can hit me at Lil Angie Stone. And obviously that's connected to my Facebook. You'll find out everything that's going on with me. My latest single, which I still feel is new because it's not 8 months old, it's called Rich Girl. I've had 2 singles on it, and I'm about to shoot a 3rd single, which is called First Time, from that same CD. You can download it on iTunes. It's a great project.
Wonderful. Angie, I really enjoyed having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your wisdom. It is always nice to have somebody just come on and just kick you down some wisdom for a minute, give you a little nugget for the day just to take on with you.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
And I just want to remind everyone to make sure that you tune in and watch R&B Divas Atlanta, airing every Wednesday, 10/9 Central on TVOne. And we're going to watch these divas. We're not even going to say all the drama because we believe God knows how to remove the drama. And we just pray that you continue to kick wisdom to the ladies, and preferably we'll see you on season 3 as well, Angie.
Exactly. And look, I want to see who else other than Angie Stone can rock and ride a motorcycle. They need to come on up to my speed, okay?
Because I know I can't ride one. I'm going to leave that to you and Queen Latifah.
Okay.
Hey, man. So, Angie, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.